I'd like to take you to a press conference. Qatar's Prime Minister Mohammed bin Abdulrahman bin Jassim Thani speaking alongside Turkiye's Foreign Minister.
The continued consultation between both our respective countries. It comes amid very dire circumstances our region is living, especially namely the war on Iran, as well as the developments unfolding in the Strait of Hormuz and the freedom of the maritime trade, maritime movement, which unfortunately has been used as a weapon in this war. We discussed the most significant developments on this war and the repercussions on the Gulf states, specifically the economic repercussions of the war on the Gulf states, in addition to other regional issues, including the recent escalations in the Gaza Strip and the continued Israeli violations bombarding innocent civilians and the imposing the forceful displacement policies on the Gaza Strip and the denial, the unlawful denial of humanitarian aids by thus weaponizing the relief aid, in addition to their disrespect to the ceasefire on Lebanon and the Israeli continued airstrikes on the Lebanese villages and towns to the south of the country, in addition to the continued threats and issued by the Israeli occupation forces against the Lebanese people. These are all dire circumstances which require all the friendly and brotherly states to continue in being engaged in continued consultation, and Turkey comes as among the leading partners with whom we always consult. With respect to the war on Iran, both our respective countries, Qatar and Turkiye, jointly support the Pakistani mediation, as well as the efforts made by the brotherly state of Pakistan aiming to reach a solution to this war, hoping to reach a ceasefire and ending the war totally and reopening the Strait of Hormuz to allow the free movement of maritime traffic. We also continue to consult and coordinate with our brothers, heads of Gulf states and other regional countries in order to arrive at the most conceivable formula that would be conducive to restoring peace and order in the region. There are a myriad of issues that should be resolved through diplomacy with Iran in future. Also, the bilateral relations between Qatar and Turkey are robust, solid, and our partnership date back long ago, and they were further augmented by our respective leaders. We always aim at coordinating with our brothers in Turkey on all fronts, be it in geopolitics, military, economy, energy, and other domains. Once again, I welcome my dear brother, Your Excellency, Foreign Minister, and I thank you for the important discussions we jointly had earlier, and we look forward to continued coordination and consultation between our both countries and official institutions. In the name of Allah, the Omnipotent, the Merciful, my dear brother, thank you for your kind words. And at the outset, I would like to extend my appreciation to the representatives of the media, and I thank my counterpart for the warm reception and generous hospitality. As you are aware, I paid a visit to Qatar about 2 months ago, and here, in presence of the mass media, we sent out a message to the international community. And as we live exceptional circumstances, we are here again discussing very critical issues. We had the opportunity to discuss them at length. In the morning, I was received by His Royal Highness the Emir of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, where I conveyed the greetings of the Turkish president. I will also conveyed the critical message sent out by President Erdogan with respect to the regional issues. I had ample time to listen the views of His Royal Highness the Emir of Qatar on the developments unfolding in the region. The developments unfolding demand that we be engaged in more than consultation in order to arrive our desired goals. I am on constant communication with my dear brother, together with my counterparts in Saudi Arabia, Kuwait. I had a number of telephone communications in addition to official visits. Once again, as to the ongoing negotiations, we are totally in support of our brothers in Pakistan in their mediation efforts. We should not, or we cannot see the war erupting again. This war will bring nothing but more instability, not only to the region, but the entire world. They would bring about total destruction and devastation to the whole world. And we hope that the mediation efforts would bear fruit. Together with our brothers and partners, we are doing all what we can. Therefore, all these efforts as being exerted are, we will continue to support them by all forms. The closure of the Strait of Hormuz has a dire impact not only on the supply chains, but the global energy market. It will continue to cast pressures on the governments of the world. All the world states are now feeling the brunt of the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. That's why we urge that an agreement be reached, the Strait of Hormuz be reopened, and the free traffic movement be allowed. On the other hand, and together with my dear friend, we discussed bilateral relations in addition to other regional issues, namely the situation in Gaza Strip. He himself also put it in plain words that we are faced with, apart from the war in the Gulf, shouldn't cause us to lose sight of the situation in Gaza. As you know, the genocide that was unfolding in Gaza and the continued denial of the relief aid, as well as the Israeli violation of the ceasefire in Lebanon, the situation in Syria and Libya also, all these expansion policies cause grave losses, not only in human lives, but on all fronts. Many of civilians are now either forcibly migrated or displaced. We, together with the international community, should continue to closely monitor and discuss the situation. The matter has come to catastrophic levels in Gaza. We exchanged views on the situation on all these issues, and what we see, the exceptional situation which I attempted to brief you as media representatives, all these issues demand that we should continue to engage in further extensive discussions and consultations. Our relations are robust on all fronts, and the President of Turkey, as well as the Emir of Qatar, His Royal Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, had a firm desire as well as a political will to cement our bilateral relations based on mutual respect. Our relations weathered through all the crises and challenges. We are aimed at achieving tangible results on all these issues. And once again, I thank you, my dear brother, for the warm reception and generous hospitality. And now the floor is open to questions. the Turkish Anadolu Agency. I start by thanking both of you. On Gaza, you have made great efforts started by, and we, as part of the global media, I extend thanks and appreciation to you. On the negotiations, there is a possibility that the war on Iran would erupt once again. What is the latest on the negotiations taking place in Pakistan, especially that you are playing a role in this? A second question on the free maritime traffic in the Strait of Hormuz, which is very significant. Are you planning for a regional dynamic together with Qatar on controlling the traffic in the Strait of Hormuz?
First of all, I would like to highlight that we do not support the resumption of war. We should always focus our support on the Pakistanis' effort in order to resolve this issue and try to end the war as soon as possible and to end this current status that we have, unfortunately, in the region. I think that the role that Pakistan is playing is very important and critical for the entire region and for the world, and for, as His Excellency Brother Hakan just mentioned, that this crisis is not only affecting the region, but it's affecting everything in the globe, which is basically the energy security, the freedom of navigation, setting new precedents for things that are were not acceptable and will never be acceptable for our countries. Both Qatar and Turkiye are coordinating the efforts and supporting the Pakistani diplomacy in reaching a resolution as soon as possible. Unfortunately, in any type of negotiations, you will always have ups and downs, and I think that it's a very important responsibility from us as countries in the region and from other countries in the world to ensure that the resumption of war not happening, and continuation of diplomacy is the only way forward. Regarding the freedom of navigation and the disruption that's happening, unfortunately, right now, in the Strait of Hormuz and those military operations that are conducted over there are not helping in de-escalating the situation. Iran should not use this strait as a weapon to pressure or to blackmail the Gulf countries. It's an international water corridor that should be always protected and should be always safeguarded. This current state of the strait and what's happening over there should never be repeated, and it should be put very clear that anything happens to the strait in the future by any country, they should be penalized for doing such a thing.
Değerli arkadaşlar, yani siz de soruda ifade ettiniz, başından beri müzakerelere Katar'la beraber.
From the very outset, we have been together with Qatar providing all necessary support to the negotiations and the mediation efforts made by our brothers in Pakistan deserve all praise. However, I would like to speak of the positive side. Both the sides are hoping that the war would come to an end and the Strait of Hormuz be opened, and the nuclear dossier be linked to the negotiations where the matter would be crowned with a total resolution. However, what is the nature and the priorities, or in other words, the phrases through which the agreement would be forged in order to turn into a final agreement? The messages are being sent out in both directions, and what are the nature of these messages? I hope that these mediation efforts would bear fruit at the earliest. we cannot even think of the eruption of the war, which will bring nothing but more killing and more devastation. We are supporting for the total end of the war and not to allow the Strait of Hormuz being weaponized. This is very crucial for the stability and the security of the region. It is also equally important to the stability of the whole world and the global markets. The maritime traffic should be freed, and all these matters are totally supported. Now we are giving priority to reviving the diplomatic and amicable solutions. Through diplomacy, we can have the Strait of Hormuz reopened, and this is what we push for on all venues. Al-Arabi TV, Qatar. My first question to the Qatari Foreign Minister. What is the role played by Qatar in supporting the Pakistani mediation efforts and the endeavor to reach diplomatic solutions? Are you trying to bring closer the views of Tehran and Washington? A question to the Turkish Foreign Minister. What is the nature and level of coordination between Doha and Ankara on the Iranian issue and other regional questions? And how do you assess the Israelis' demeanors in this respect? With respect to diplomacy and diplomatic efforts being exerted, I had a visit a couple of days ago to the United States, during which I focused mainly on supporting the Pakistani mediation efforts, and there should be more positive response to these diplomatic efforts, hoping a solution be reached at the earliest. At the same time, I demonstrated to the Americans the impact the war had caused on the region. The more it drags on, it will be of no interest to any party, be it in the region or beyond. As I mentioned earlier, Pakistan is playing a great role, hoping to restore stability and security in the region. We totally support all the efforts, discussions, deliberations made, and all the efforts made by our part are meant to support the mediation efforts of Pakistan. Not only Qatar, but also the other Gulf states are directly impacted by the war on Iran.
Katar ve Türkiye arasındaki işbirliği ve koordinasyon gerçekten
The level of cooperation and coordination between Qatar and Turkey is exceptional. Our relations are managed in a professional and intense fashion on all the important questions. We have constant level of discussions, and as to the state institutions, we have an established level of cooperation, not between our respective persons, but our respective state institutions, from intelligence, defense, energy. All our state institutions are on constant communication, consultation, and coordination. And above all, we have intense levels of cooperations under certain mechanism. Before even the war had erupted, myself, His Royal Highness the Emir of Qatar, the Turkish President, as well as my Qatari counterpart, started to exert efforts hoping to prevent the war. However, it erupted, and now we hope and we exert all what we can in order to prevent the re-eruption of this war. All these regional issues can be resolved amicably. Both our respective countries make great efforts, and we coordinate in order to support the negotiations, not only the negotiations in Pakistan, but all other issues of concern to the Arab and Muslim world. This level of coordination is exceptional, and as you know, Israel
Yani herkes bir araya geliyor.
is seen as the elephant in the room.
İsrail'in
Everyone is meeting to speak of peace and amicable solutions, and at the same time, Israel continues with their expansion policies, violence, and violations of all the laws. This exacerbates the situation. The policies of Israel are not on the regional levels. It has become a global security issue. There are certain sanctions being handed down by countries from the European Union, and I believe over the coming days, the whole world would stand up to the Israeli expansion policies, and we hope to see a wider response and measures. Thank you.